All right. Thank you, guys. That is awesome. They did a great job. Another round of applause, please. Wow. Being up here is different. So if you don't know me, I'm Becca Smith, and thank you. And I do not speak to students typically, okay? So at the Grove, my role is Grove Kids, so I handle the little ones, and they know a lot less. So if I mess up, they have no idea. But this is totally out of my comfort zone, and you know, have you guys ever had a friend like that you would do anything for, even if it was a little bit like, made you a little bit nervous? Yeah? I got one too. His name's Jack, okay? You guys may know him. He came to me because he was like, yeah, I'm going to be having a baby. And I was like, no, you're not. Grace is. And he was like, but I need you to speak. And I said, okay, so this is the reason we're speaking, because Ezra was born and he's so cute. So, yeah, that's why you get me instead of Jack today. Now, what is getting me a little more comfortable right now is I'm looking out there and I'm seeing a lot of faces I know. I'm seeing a lot of people who are in Grove Kids. I'm seeing a lot of people that if you have cool moms, I'm friends with them, so that makes sense, right? So, I am here and we are going to talk about what Jesus did for me. So, when I was preparing for You Know Everything, and Jack asked me to do this, I did what every knowledgeable, good minister does. I started Googling things, okay? I wanted to figure out who in the Bible had a story that was close to mine. So I came across a lot of people like Jonah, and I came across Peter, and I came across somebody I hadn't heard their story before, and that I was really excited once I started diving in, and that person's name is Messiah. And so you may be thinking, okay, I've never heard of him, or maybe you have. So here's a fun fact. Messiah, when he was 12 years old, he became king, which means that almost everybody in this room would be royalty right now if you were Messiah, which is both very scary and also very scary. But his father was a faithful king, okay? He turned a nation around towards the Lord. He worked so hard to make it known that they were worshiping God. So one would think that Messiah would do the same thing. Wrong. He did not. He did a total other direction. He was off the rails. He was rebuilding pagan altars. He was practicing witchcraft. He was setting up idols, worshiping false gods. He was completely drunk with power and lost in his sin. And sometimes when people here on earth are making mistakes like that, Jesus intervenes. And so he did. He had Messiah put in prison, okay? He was captured, and in that moment, he was probably very humbled. He was in jail, probably on a cold floor in a dark room, and he was at an all-time personal low. He didn't know what to do. And when we get in those situations, sometimes we feel like the only person we can cry out to is God. And so he did. And he came full circle. God brought him back. He put everything back to normal. He started worshiping the Lord again, brought the nation back, and it was a total restoration. Okay, so now you're looking at me and you're like, cool, so what's that got to do with anything? Well, it had a lot to do with me and my story. So I want to tell you a little bit a part of what I experienced in a time when Jesus did something for me. So, what I can tell you about myself is, my name is Becca. I have a family. This is my family. Okay? That's my husband, Tyler. My daughter, Bailey, who is down here. The one in the bunny ears, that's Braylon. And then the little guy on my hip, that's Emmett. Okay? So that's my family. So if you know me right now, you would probably say I'm a wife, I'm a mother, and I'm a minister who likes watching people take next steps with Jesus, especially if they're very small. But I was a whole other person before then. I was a person that was your age. You know, I was getting into my first years of freshman year, and I was very excited and getting all my classes arranged, and I just didn't really feel like I had a whole lot of worries. I wasn't worried about anything. And the thing is, I had great parents. They took me to church on Sundays. They dropped me off on Wednesdays to youth group. You know, they did what they knew about church. And that is where I got an idea that church was check boxes. That if I went to service on Sunday morning, check box, done. If I, prayed at night or before I ate, check box, done. I was doing great in the check box area. But I didn't really know yet what a relationship with God would be like. So, with that, as my background, my parents were doing the best they could. But then I went into high school, and I felt invincible, right? We all kind of do at this age. And then something happened that I wasn't prepared for. I actually lost my dad when I was a freshman, and it was very sudden, and it kicked me right in the heart. It hurt, and I wasn't sure if my family was ever going to put those pieces back together. But, I had my church. I had a great youth leader. I had friends. I had my family. And then after a while, it kind of did feel like there was a new normal. But I did what we do sometimes. I took whatever I was feeling and put it down. And I just kept shoving it. I was kind of feeling like I had a lot of responsibility to be strong for my mom and my family, and I didn't really want people to know, right, that I was hurting, because that's not cool. But the problem was, when you're hurting and you shove it down, you don't talk about it, you just keep going, it's going to eventually reveal itself. So what ended up happening is I just walked away, kind of unknowingly. Stopped, going Wednesday nights, didn't really show up to youth group, stopped going on Sundays, and kind of just started hanging out with people that weren't making good decisions, so I wasn't making good decisions. And I was lost, and I became somebody that I didn't know anymore. I was angry, I was hurt, and I was super mad at God. I found myself asking why all the time. When I would pray, they weren't good. They were whys. Why would you do this to me? Why did this happen? How am I ever going to get going? And that's the thing. That's what happens. And so, as I was numbing pain and trying to write my own story, I had somebody ask me if I wanted a job at the daycare preschool at Hickory Grove, and I needed a job. So the answer was yes. And so I came here and I got this awesome job, and I was, playing with these kids, and it was so much fun. But then all of a sudden something was changing. And Missy Harris is a big thanks to this change. Is she told me that I should start coming to church here, and then I would maybe be able to serve on Sundays. And that idea kind of sounded good. So I did start attending, started coming here with my now husband, Tyler, and Bailey. And I found something. I had this job, but I found community. And I discovered that I had people here who cared about my spiritual well-being. And I had people who could show me, and then I discovered myself what a relationship with Jesus would actually look like. Man, changed everything. So, I started coming here, got plugged in, and then I understood that when I discovered this relationship, that it was going to make me different. I was going to be able to surrender all of the hurt and all of the anger and all of the resentment that I had been hiding in my heart for a really, really long time. And I could stop asking why, and I could find a purpose. And when I was this person, I was struggling in a lot of my relationships and friendships. I wasn't great to be around. I wasn't fun to be around because of all of this I was hiding. And eventually, as I kept getting plugged in and kept coming here and kept doing the things, I felt found. Felt like I was walking back. And then you're probably wondering, okay, what's that got to do with Messiah? Well, the reason I picked his story is because I felt connected to it. We were both so young. He was given a whole nation to take control of. He was probably freaking out, a little stressed. And I was just 14, and I had lost my parent. So we both were so young, and we both were walking away from God and finding and just sinning and trying to numb things. And then we were both captured. He was captured physically, like we talked about. He was in jail, okay? That's what was happening. But me, I was captured by grief and held hostage almost. And I know you may be thinking, that sounds dramatic. And it can, but if you've ever experienced a loss, you know what that feels like. You know the hold that it can have on you. If you've ever experienced any type of pain in your heart, you know what that can do to you. You know what that can do to your relationships. So now, right, Messiah and both of us have walked right back into the arms of Jesus because we were broken. And the only person who could restore us was God. So at one time or not in our life, we were both laying on the floor, crying out. And he was there. So why am I telling you this? Why does it matter to you? Well, I'm telling you this because at one point in your life, now, a couple weeks ago, a couple weeks from now, a couple years from now, you guys are going to feel something painful. You're going to feel broken, scared, hurt, or afraid, betrayed, mad. You could feel any of that. And it could lead you down a path where you're straying. If you catch yourself, you'll stop it. But you could stray pretty far. And then you could end up like Messiah or myself and be laying on the ground wanting so badly for something to change. And I want you to remember this moment. I want you to remember that Becca told you that if you ever felt like that you could call out to God and he would be there waiting. And that he would pick you up and love you right where you are. I've had lots of conversations with new believers or people on the fence, and sometimes people get this idea that once you say yes to Jesus and you become a Christian, that the bad stuff stops happening. Unfortunately, I can't make you that promise today. I can't tell you that you'll never experience this hurt and anger and distrust because we live in a broken world, so bad things do happen. But what people have told me and what I'm going to tell you is being a Christian does not guarantee you a perfect life. Being a Christian means you'll never have to face it alone. So I kind of hold on to this verse, John 16:33, and I say it a lot. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world. It feels good to hear that because he's bigger than any worry, loss, sadness, or anything that you can experience. He can handle the anger you have. He can handle the questions. He wants to hear them. He's big enough for that. So don't ever feel bad about wondering or crying out or just begging, So then now I'm thinking back on all of this and I'm saying there was a time in my life when I lost my dad and I couldn't talk about him and I couldn't see pictures of him and I couldn't even really want to hear people tell stories about him. But even in that moment, God knew that this day would come. He knew I would be standing up here talking about my dad to all of you for a reason. Because I believe that you all have experienced more loss than normal teenagers probably do. And the thing is, God had a plan for me then, and he's got a plan for you too. And the thing is, I don't have all of it figured out. I don't have all the answers. I don't know all the whys. But when I'm struggling and when hard things happen in my life now, I know that I need 3 things. I need my people. I have found great people here at the Grove that have challenged me, held me accountable for my faith. And you guys will need those people too. You might be sitting next to those people right now. And if you're not, you're going to find them. God is going to put them in your life. I know that when times are hard, I need my Bible. That's how discovering stories like Messiah's that we connect with works. These people faced it and they overcame it. So we can always look to the Bible for those things. You're also going to need the Bible because sometimes human words, they fall short and they feel meaningless. But when we crack that open, it's almost a God thing that you're led to a verse that hits, that penetrates your heart. And there are times when that's all you can have. And the last thing you need is your God. You need him for the questions. You need him for the prayers. I prayed to him about a couple minutes ago before I stepped up here to give me some kind of courage because you guys scare me a little bit. But we do. We have to use him as a best friend. If he's not, it's not going to be a good relationship. That's how you build that. That's how you build trust. When we are experiencing hurt, the enemy wants us alone and down. Don't let him find you like that. Use your people. Use your Bible. Use your God to fight. Surround yourselves with people that will fight with you. And there are many times at your age, I tried to write my own story, and I tried to take the pen and make it my own and figure out things. It's not going to work. God has a plan because there's a reason. Let him work in you. Don't try to make other things work. So here in just a few minutes, I'm gonna pray, and Kate is gonna lead us in our last song. But I'm gonna be praying for you guys because right now I know you might be sitting there wondering, I am going through something, but I don't know how to pick myself up. I am hurting from loss or feeling abandoned or feeling hurt by someone or betrayed. Like I am feeling those things, but I don't know what to do with them. So I encourage you, if you are dealing with something, if you need somebody to fight with you, come find me. Come find a great leader that you know and trust. Build that. Be vulnerable. Say what you're feeling because there is so many people that want to be your prayer warriors. They want to walk beside you when it's hard and painful. So don't do this alone. Doing it alone will always lead you where it led Messiah. In need of God, which is fine, but if you are connected all the way, it just feels better. You feel not alone. So I'm going to pray for us.